Hi and happy Monday.
Hello everyone. In today's video, we are taking a last look at the Nano wall in the way that it is currently arranged. So we're going to do a little Nano wall tour, correct?
Yes, we are.
And after that, we're going to talk about some of the changes that we're making because we're making some pretty big changes to the wall.
But
we've discovered some things that maybe need improving and some things that you want to do differently. And so let's go ahead, we'll take a closer look at the Nano wall and then we'll talk about what's changing. So here we have the Nano wall as it currently exists. You can see there are some changes, correct?
Yep.
And you have taken down lots of your 2.5s. You have also added some of your plants just for the winter time. And let's go ahead and take a closer look. So what do we have? This is one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites too. This has Red Bob, the betta, and his little groupies.
And we also have the white clouds. And so sometimes people ask, what is a good fish for your bettas? And we have found that this combination has worked. We've done it a couple times, and you can see the white clouds here. I like them. I like the way they look, especially with this darker sort of feel on the substrate in the background. And it works. And you've got some plants here. You mostly use Anubias.
Yes, I do.
And we've got our piece of driftwood. This is definitely a tank when I look at the Nano wall that I'm hoping you're probably not going to make too many changes to.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to, tidy it up a bit and it will be really great. I do plan on moving this from the bottom row up so we can all appreciate it more.
Yeah, this is definitely a tank where you have to be sitting on the floor or actually kind of half laying on the floor in order to really appreciate it. So this is another 7.5 that's on the floor next to the tank you just saw. This was your simple scape, right?
This was my super simple scape with 3 large rocks. And this has one of my favorite bettas. They're all my favorites, but this one is a solar flare betta and his name is Fireball.
I really like this betta, and up until a couple days ago, this was my favorite betta on your wall, and we're going to see my favorite now. And I do like this scape because it is simple. It's something that anybody can do. You've got 3 rocks and 3 Anubias?
Yep, 3 and 3.
And this is the only fish in the tank, and I think that may change at some point, but you've also got a mystery snail.
I do, his friend.
Yep, that combo is working out pretty well, but really pretty fish as you can clearly see, and it is a very easy scape to maintain. We move a row up, and here we've got the 12-gallon long. You've done this tank a couple times already, but this is one that you want to rescape, correct?
Oh yes, bye-bye white sand.
Bye-bye white sand. Hello to probably a darker substrate, but the fish are staying, right?
Oh yes, they're all staying.
So we got the pea puffers, the raspboras, celestial pearl daniels, and some sparkling gouramis. Probably redo the background as well.
Yes, that was just temporary. That's the color that I had.
And this 7.5 gallon was, you had more mahachai in here, betta mahachai, but we're down to 1, and I actually think these fish may have brought something onto your Nano wall that may have caused some issues with some of your bettas that we've lost lately.
Yes, I believe so.
So this tank, we're trying to nurse this fish back to health. I like the scape, but we lost a few bettas, and I think there was some kind of betta-specific disease that was going on because the rest of the fish were okay. So here we have, I think, what's coming up, and that is one of my favorite tanks on the wall, and that is your pumpkin shrimp tank. So what do we have going on in here?
A lot of pumpkin shrimp.
We do have a lot of pumpkin shrimp. So here's the other interesting thing is the trumpet snails that you have in this tank look a lot different than the ones in any other part of the fish room. They actually have really nice color. So compared to some of the others, I love this tank. By the way, if you're interested in shrimp, we got these pumpkin shrimp from Flip Aquatics. He is a channel sponsor. Their information will be down in the description below, flipaquatics.com. But these are fantastic shrimp with a really cool aquascape.
Thank you. And it was my attempt at a sunset sort of backdrop back there that you can just make out.
And I love everything about it. Yes, the background is cool. The shrimp are doing great. The crypts are growing amazingly well. And so this is just one of those tanks, when you put it together, it just works. So you've got the shrimp, and I don't think there's any, is there a mystery snail in here somewhere?
Yes.
So there is a mystery snail, and then like you can see here, we've got a mix of various types of pest snails, I suppose. We've got some ram's horn snails in there, some Malaysian trumpet snails, but it works out fairly well, and it is, like I said, probably one of my top 5 favorite aquascapes in the whole fish room.
I'm glad you like it. It's a wee bit overgrown for my tastes in the foreground, but that's just me.
It's a jungle out there.
It really is a jungle in there.
So this is the next row up. These are just what's left of the 2.5 gallon tanks, and we're moving away from these, correct?
Yes, we are.
We are no longer going to have these tanks on the wall. And what betta is this?
That's Sparky.
Okay, so this is
Sparky, one of my girls.
And the bettas that we have, we're not getting rid of them. We're just going to move them into larger tanks as we redo this nano wall.
That's gonna be fun.
And it will be fun. And so here you've just got a few crypts growing on in here. And then the idea with some of these 2.5s, and it was to try to keep it relatively simple, right? And so just the crypts in most of them, a little centerpiece sort of small decoration.
Yeah, a little cute doodad.
And some...
There's Baby Spice right there.
Yep, and some I was going to say... So, yep, there's some baby spice. And we also have the salvinia growing at the top and some frog bits mixed in there as well. And there's a mystery snail. And that's one of the things that we do is we keep mystery snails and bettas in most of these tanks. And it works out okay for us. It doesn't always work out, but at least for us so far, they've left each other alone. And this is the last of the 2.5 gallons that we have.
And this is Stripes. This Stripes and Baby Spice, I got both of them as babies. And they're doing very well.
They're doing well. So these were not bettas that were impacted by the betta disease you had on your nano wall, which it's kind of interesting because sometimes as you're troubleshooting disease, you've got something that can impact certain fish, but not all of them. So there's something about these 3 and a couple of the other was, at the bottom that did well. Now here's your succulent.
This is one of my succulent areas.
And this is, I think, my new favorite betta. This came from John and Lisa at KG Tropicals. They've got a really cool betta shop, basically. And I will put their website in the description below as well if you're interested in bettas. This is really cool. And this, what size tank is this?
This is a 3.5 gallon long little bookshelf tank, I think.
And
is it 3.5 gallons?
3.5. I think it is 3.5 gallons. And what you did, what I really, really love about this tank is there is a lighter side where he likes to actually hang out. There's some plants there. And then on the other side, you kept it's relatively dark and it's not really planted there. And I think it's really awesome that fish have a place to go if they want to have a little bit of some time out of the light. And I really think this is something I would like to see more of in our scapes in the future. I think we over illuminate some of our tanks. So this was really cool that you did that. And these 2 tanks, these next 2, you're getting rid of them, correct? No.
Well, they're leaving the wall.
They're leaving the wall, and why?
Because I'm really just looking for a lot more uniformity and symmetry on the wall.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of different style tanks, and part of that is because we want to do some reviews of some smaller tanks. And now we're moving towards a different direction, although I absolutely love this scape. This is another one of my favorites.
I was going to break this down the other day, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I think this might be a tank where we put somewhere else.
Imagine that, putting it somewhere in the house.
Yeah, and then this one is the Fluval Spec 5 gallon, right? And again, one of my favorite scapes that
I do
you've
like
done.
this one, too. It turned out pretty well, and it's growing in very nicely.
And primarily what you've got are crypts, right? And at the top, is that some anubias you have growing up there?
I have a lot of anubias that's growing very well.
And then you have the hornwort. And this tank has the Heteroandra formosa, Fleur-de-lis Kelly, and there are some blue dream shrimp. You can actually see one on the sponge of the return, way up there on the upper right-hand side. But this is, in my opinion, a scape that just came out really well. It's everything I hoped it would be when it grew in. And this is basically your nano wall. And so we also want to talk a little bit about the changes that are coming, why they are coming, and what you can expect, because we're keeping all the fish. We never get rid of fish once they're in the fish room for the most part, but there's going to be some exciting changes.
Yes, there is.
So that was pretty cool. You still have some pretty cool fish there. So what's changing? What are we going to change?
Well, I need a little bit more space. As you can see, plants, succulents specifically, have taken residence up on this wall because of the lights. The lights are just so great, especially in the winter months. I can't keep them all by the window because the light just isn't strong enough. So I need a little bit more space for them. Plus, I think the fish really like looking at them.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Now we are changing some of the tanks around. Some of the tanks are staying. That 12-gallon long we love, but it is getting totally redone at this point, correct? You've decided to give up on the lighter colored substrate and go with a darker sand. The 7.5s are all staying.
Yes.
And I think those are some really nice scapes. But we're going to be adding some other tanks. So you're not getting away from small, right? You're not getting away from nano.
You know me, I love small, I love miniature. But the miniature nano tanks, I'm kind of going away from. I would still like to stay with nano fish, but do little larger tanks to maybe even get like a community tank. I'm really, really liking the community tanks lately.
So maybe we're doing nano scale, but in larger, slightly larger tanks, nothing crazy. So that also is going to require some work from me because there's a couple of things that, first of all, the stands are great. The stands, we reviewed these stands. They are fantastic stands for smaller tanks, but now that we're moving to slightly larger tanks, like maybe we want to add some 20-gallon longs to the wall, some more Fluval Spec 5s, which I really like that tank. It's one of my all-time favorite aquascapes in the fish room as it exists today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But the problem is, when I'm filming this wall, it is extraordinarily hard to film because we get a lot of reflection, and you can see that even in the tour that we just kind of did and in previous videos, there's a lot of reflection there. So I'm going to try to do my best to build custom stands that can block out as much of the extraneous light as we possibly can, and I think that will allow us to, one, visualize the tanks when we're just looking at them a little bit easier, and when it comes to filming, that will be easier too. So I have got some building to do as soon as we figure out the exact layout of the wall.
And you know my thoughts on tanks on the floor. Not a fan.
Yes.
So those two tanks, 7.5s that are on the floor, need to come up. So
that is the nano wall and our plans, and hopefully we'll have some videos out very shortly about what we do with it and give you more details.
Hope you have a good week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you later.